Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this rainy, windy evening. It is Monday, October 20th, 2025. It is now 6:06 p.m. and I will call the meeting into order. Jeff, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Smith,
Here.
Commissioner Zakos,
Here.
Commissioner Black,
Here.
Commissioner Decker,
Here.
Commissioner Cousins is absent, and Commissioner Wolf is also absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you for that. We will move down to old business. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for September 2025?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in
Oh, wait,
favor?
I wasn't there. Maybe I shouldn't second.
No, you're just seconding
But
that
you
it's
still-
in here.
Ah,
and
okay,
everything's
okay.
good, right? Yep.
Yeah, it was a part of the packet.
Yeah.
All in favor?
I,
Motion carries. We will move. Can I get a motion to approve the accounts payable for September 2025?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
All in favor? And now I will hand it over to Jeff for an executive director's report.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out and signing in to the Hudson Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting. First thing I just want to share with everyone is that we are navigating the current shutdown. We've noticed, if you haven't noticed, the nation is in a shutdown, and we're facing government shutdown that impacts various services, including housing assistance, and we want to assure you that we're closely monitoring the situation related to housing assistance, and we are committed to providing clarity and support to our residents. This is a challenging time, but we still encourage everyone to stay informed, and we're dedicated to helping you navigate any uncertainties that may arise, particularly concerning the housing programs and resources. We also, if you're interested, you can go to nahro.org/advocacy / and if you can't remember that, you can always send me an email and I will send that information to you. And you can just pop your name in, your address, and it'll give you who your congressperson is. And you can write a letter to your representatives. I have a copy of mine that I did here today to Gillibrand, Chuck Schumer, and Josh Rowland. Just a short note to say that we are urging, Congress to work out their differences and, stop the shutdown so that we can continue to provide services to Americans that need it. All right. The next thing I want to inform you of is that we have our commissioner election coming up. Petitions are due in our office on November 3rd, 2025 at 3 p.m. The candidate must have 20 signatures of residents that are in good standing and that are 18 years or older that are eligible to vote in an election. Early voting will begin December 1st, 2025, which is also the same date that we will have a candidate forum at 3 p.m. in this room. And the last day of election will be December 15th, 2025, and that will end at 3 p.m. So we ask everyone who is interested to participate, make sure you get your petitions in on sign and fill out the required paperwork because you have to have your documentation notarized. And we will proceed with the election and we'll let you know the winner at that board meeting in December. Next good news is we have a assessment that is done every year called CMAP, which stands for Section 8 Management Assessment Program. It's a performance measurement tool used by HUD to evaluate the management of the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which is Section 8. And so I am glad to inform you that the Hudson Housing Authority has achieved a 96 rating, which designates us as a high performer. Congratulations to the Housing Authority and to the staff who worked hard to get those things done. Also, we brought our box today, which is typically in the office, but we encourage people to participate with us to name our development. We definitely want to put a name to our project instead of saying the project. We really want to bring it to life as it is fast approaching. So there's a suggestion box if anybody has a suggestion they'd like to throw in for them, we put it in there tonight. Otherwise, that box is in our office every day and during office hours. We've also had our fire inspection done of our fire extinguishers and our sprinkler systems today. That test is complete and everything is in working order. Lastly, I'd like to, at least for my part, inform you that as of October 1st, we moved to a new inspection protocol for Section 8 units. It's called Inspire. This is a project that is a program that HUD has implemented, has been delayed several times. And they just recently, after the date that we committed to, which was October 1st, extended it till 2027, but they encourage housing authorities to implement if they so choose. So we sent out letters to our landlord advising them what the new standards were. If they had any questions, they could contact us. And as of October 1st, those inspections began on their annual inspections. The inspections already happened. They're called housing quality inspections, but this inspection protocol is different. Inspire stands for National Standards for the Physical Inspection of Real Estate. It's a new inspection model developed by the U.S. Department of Urban Development that prioritizes health, safety, and functional defects over appearance in property inspections. The Inspire model aims to improve the inspection process by implementing standards that reflect the true physical condition of properties and supports sound maintenance practices. Also, it includes a scoring system to evaluate properties effectively. And so our staff has been trained, at least our maintenance staff has been trained, and they are already doing inspections. Again, this is something they already do, but this is a new protocol. And so they've started, and so far, so good. It is working out well. Next on the report, we have Maho here to speak to us about development and update us on some issues or things that are concerning development and to answer questions that have been asked in previous meetings. Jonathan?
The boss is here, so let's start with Joel.
Good evening, everybody, nice seeing you. These gentlemen will have a lot of positive things to say this evening. It's very exciting. I think we're coming into the around the track, so to speak, and heading towards the goal. And saying that, let's pass over to you guys.
Okay. While I'm handing these out, I don't want anybody to be surprised, but you might see 3 suggestions for the name of the project, Mountie Manors, but then where I can count the people sitting here. I could be comfortable. So what I handed out, and this is really what Joel was talking about, why we're so excited, you know, we've all been working on this for such a long time. What we tried to lay out was a schedule that will get us to a June closing with HCR, okay? We now have our site plan application in, we're meeting with the planning board next week. So they can, you know, we've met with them several times already, but now they will formally review all the plans for site plan approval. We have a request into the city for a pilot agreement. We expect to be meeting with the city council soon to discuss that. So what we've tried to do is lay out some milestones that have to be achieved in order for us to get the Housing Finance Agency, which is the primary funding source for the project, to get them to be able to have a closing for us. They need a whole series of things, and this will help you track us and help us track our consultants as we go over the course of the next 8 months. The 2 main things to look at are in red. June funding closing, that's what our target is. And below that is the caveat. Okay, obviously, Jeff mentioned it before, HUD is effectively closed now. We need some approvals from HUD. We think they're gonna be back open when they do reopen. There's gonna be some staffing issues there, but we've got very good counsel. The Housing Authority does. We've had good relations with HUD before they went out on the furlough, but that's a big question mark, very clearly. There are other question marks. Site plan application. Site plan applications can take as little as 2 months to get through. Sometimes it takes longer if it's a complicated project. From an engineering site planning point of view, we don't think this project is that complicated. We think that the city should be able to review what we've submitted pretty quickly. They were very clear on what they needed. And specifically, they wanted to see a lighting plan and a parking plan, and that's all included with them, so they should be able to review what we've given them, we hope pretty quickly. We know our traffic people have spoken with DPW to make sure that we're on the same page with them. But there are things that are out of our control. The main thing is to try to target the things that are within our control. When can we complete the plans? When can we submit the tax credit application? Those types of things are critical. A couple of things we should say, in addition to the site plan application being in and the pilot application being in, within the last, I guess, 2 weeks or so, maybe longer than that, we executed with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the brownfields agreement. So we now are not only accepted into the program, but we have an agreement with the state. That translates into about $5 million coming into the project in brownfields credits. In a little bit, you're gonna hear from Connor Turnbull, who's our environmental consultant. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he'll explain to you that we really sort of in the best of both worlds, and he'll explain why that is with brownfields. But even though we have the agreement signed, still a lot of work to be done with DEC, okay? The important thing in my mind about this is it shows that if we do our job and we get everything to the state, we think we should be able to close in June. Where we've reached out to the state to let them know we're gonna be ready to close in June. We want them to hold the spot for us in June. And we're waiting to hear back. The state and Darren has been very supportive of the project. They want to do the project. But obviously there's a lot of competition, so we want to get on their agenda to close in June. So what you'll hear from us over the course of the next couple of months as we go through this is, okay, did you meet with the planning board? What did they say, where they are? Did you get your application in? And some of these dates are gonna move around a little bit as we go forward. The main thing is to keep the focus on trying to close in June. I think that's all I wanted to say. I'd like to have Carlos talk a little bit.
Connor's on.
You wanna take?
The Connor's on the phone, sure. Okay, so let's talk, we talked about this, and there was a question from the public, I think at one of the last meetings, about the soil report, and the concern that we heard and the board has and we have is, is there something really that we should be worried about contaminants leaching off the site and coming out into the air and that type of stuff? And we were asked, what did we find, and what are the levels that we found, and how are we gonna deal with it? So yeah, that's a good idea. Let's have Connor talk about that if we can. Connor, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. I just want to apologize for my setting. My once spare bedroom and home office is being converted into a nursery, so I've been relegated to the garage. But yeah, you started stealing my thunder, but yes, we are in the brownfield cleanup program. And yeah, we're in a unique situation where I would say, just barely eked our way into the brownfield cleanup program based on the levels of contamination that we have on the property. One of the ideologies of the brownfield cleanup program is you need to prove that your site is contaminated to get into the program. And we had to fight to do that just because by nature of the contaminants on site, there's really not that much to speak of. There's some semi-volatile organic compounds and there's some metals, both of which are very common of an urban setting, and highly likely, or at least what I'm hedging my bets on, are likely due to infill of existing structures. It's building components that were likely caved in previous basements, and that's probably what we were picking up in our samples. The concentrations of which, I was looking at the results again today. Yes, we exceed a restricted residential soil cleanup objective. But when I was starting to compare it to some of the other soil cleanup objectives that the state has in other situations, we would have been meeting a commercial use. So again, just to reiterate, the concentrations are not alarming in any way. And they will be remediated and mitigated throughout the longevity of the project and be able to bring the site to a restricted residential use.
And Connor, thank you so much for that. Can you share where you're from, your organization?
Yeah, I'm with PVEDI. We're engineering and architecture firm. My office is in Poughkeepsie.
Thank you so much.
And we've worked with PVE on a number of projects. They do great work. Kind of one of the other things, could you talk about a little bit about how we are going to monitor and make sure that that there is no contaminants out in the air while we're doing the excavation and removing the materials?
Yeah, one of the requirements of the Brownfield Cleanup Program is anytime you are doing what they call ground intrusive work, you have to implement a community air monitoring plan. And what that includes at a minimum is an upwind and a downwind monitoring station, which includes monitors for dust particulates and volatile organic compounds. Given that we're in a residential neighborhood, the state might even ask us to do more on top of that. So that's at a bare minimum. Typically that if we see any dust or volatiles accumulated on site in excess of background concentrations, that's just mitigated with a dust suppression, which is a sprinkler truck or other dust suppression techniques on a construction site.
Okay, and you're going to be, is the state going to be monitoring this as well as you guys?
Yep, we're going to be monitoring this data real time. We're going to be on site documenting this every single day. And then the DEC and DOH are going to be reviewing the reports on each subsequent day.
Right.
And Connor, this is Joel. You were already on the site with DEC, correct?
Yep, we walked the site with Chris O'Neill, who is the project manager with the DEC overseeing this. Chris is, to give another layer of comfort maybe to the city, Chris is a bit of a bulldog, so he is going to be on our backs during and throughout this project. But we were reviewing the scope of the next step of the program, which is the remedial investigation, just to further investigate the property. Once in the program, you have to look for every item underneath the sun, even if it makes little to no sense to look for such a contaminant or compound on a property. So we're going to further sample and prove without a shadow of a doubt that there's nothing else on the property. And if we find anything else, it's going to be remediated during redevelopment.
To be clear, the contaminants are on site B only.
Hmm.
Site A does not have any contaminants that need to be remediated.
Right.
So it's really just one small, it's the larger the two buildings, but it's one parcel. So it's even from a purity point of view, even purer than we're saying, it's only like 60% of the site.
And just so everybody can understand, DEC is for Department of Environmental Conservation.
Right.
Just so everybody's aware, I know we use a lot of acronyms, I apologize for that, but they are a government agency that is charged with ensuring that projects like ours do what was necessary to make sure that there is no harmful contaminants.
It's kind of the board members may have some questions. If they do, they can ask them now, but then before they do that, let me just get one final question in for me. And thank you for being willing to come before the board. During the course of the work, as we start doing it, we may be asking, I guess it's not a question, we may be asking you to come back occasionally and just give the board updates on this. I hope you'll be able to do that.
I'd be happy to. Hopefully not always in a garage, but yes.
No, Connor, one day when the kids get older, you'll look for it to be alone in the garage.
Maybe I'll go in the basement. It's further away.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about, oh, sorry.
No.
Okay.
Okay. A question about, how that $5 million or how those credits work. Can you
Sure.
just run us through that?
Sure. What happens is we've identified what the components are that we have to remove. We've done extensive testing out there. And as part of the application to the state, we have, and kind of correct me if anything I'm saying is incorrect. We have to identify an approximate cost to remove the contaminants. And the state has a factor that basically they will pay you 3 times, they won't pay you, they'll give you a credit for 3 times the value of what it costs. and then you sell those credits. So it's not
Mm.
really 3 times, it's 3 times applied by a factor. But that factor, when we've run the numbers based on what we think it takes to get everything out and applied that factor, we think the number is gonna be close to $5 million.
Okay,
And the benefit for the project is, it's certainly with our competitiveness with HCR, the housing agency, we ask for less.
Mm.
And the way they view all the projects is how many sources can you bring in addition to what you expect from them? So Jeff and John have been going after different sort of grant funds and so forth. So when we put the numbers together, we'll be able to offer something up besides just a total request.
My other question is like, what's an example of a semi-volatile organic compound?
Connor?
Thank you. Yeah, semi-volatile, most commonly, just to throw another one at you, polyaromatic hydrocarbons, which are things that you find in, say, asphalt, very commonly found, diesel range, organics, other things like that.
I was thinking like gasoline or something like that, but yeah, like that kind of, yeah,
But on the site here on the left, there was a lot of rubble.
right.
So obviously with the structures, as urban demo happens, they just drop them into the site over the years.
Right,
And that's basically, we will be taking out a lot of that original urban fill, as they call it.
right.
which is-
Exactly.
But they probably happened in the original clearance of the
Oh,
neighborhood.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you should never ask a question you don't know the answer to, I guess, but I'm gonna ask Connor. Is there anything that you saw here that is unusual for you that you haven't found at other sites?
I wish there were something more interesting about the site, but again, it was, it's pretty cut and dry. And like I said, we just barely eked this one into the program, much to the advantage of being able to move through the HCR process positively. Yeah, there's not much outstanding about it environmentally.
Right.
Public relations status questions at this time.
I think Nick had a question.
Oh, I was just gonna see, because Mr. Bennett was the person who'd had concerns about this.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that he got to hear everything he was
And you can
looking
add
for.
Connor any of the questions. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things that we're happy to be here with, and you know that for the last 4.5 months or so, you has been back at HCR, and she says hello to everybody. But Carlos has been helping on the development side. Carlos is the head of our compliance division. He's been with us for a number of years and knows the development side of the business very well. And he's now been promoted to fill Yu's slot on the development, so he's now officially a development team member. And that will help us move the project along, which is great.
Congratulations.
It's truly my pleasure to be here, as a development, associate now that I've been here before.
Yes.
In a different capacity, but.
So maybe Carlos, why don't you walk through the site
Sure,
plan? I
sure.
think you guys know pretty much, but there's been a few tweaks since the last proposal that you've seen.
Yeah, so the site plan should look familiar to you guys, nothing has changed. The unit count hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed is the number of parkings that we're now proposing. That's part of the site plan approval that we're going to, in front of the board.
Can I turn it a little bit?
Yeah.
And I can pass this to the.
Yeah, exactly.
To the,
Yeah.
to the commissioners.
I think the last time you guys may have seen this plan, there was 160 parking spaces sort of called out in the plan. When we did the traffic study, in order to keep the same ratio of parking spots to units that we had, which was 0.6 parking spots per unit on site, we needed to be at 166 parking spaces. During the redesign, we were able to put in 170 parking spots. 143 of them will be on-site, what's considered on-site parking, adjacent to the structures. And then there's gonna be 47 on-street parking spots. Some of it in the same location. We're looking to reorientate some of the parking is along state streets that will give us, additional parking there. But other than that, you have the same parking there. And then there's existing 23 parking spots right now on, the south side of Bliss Towers, and that stays there for now until phase 2. So that's really the biggest changes that we've had on the site plan.
Yeah, the only thing, yeah, I thank you, Carlos. I think the only thing that I would add is that we also have some spaces right back behind the townhouses. Okay, so there's parking designated for the townhouses.
Correct, and we have 10 handicap spaces that's been identified. It's gonna be 6 on site B, 3 on site A, and 1 on the townhouse parking spot.
And this is all summarized in a rather lengthy and thick traffic and parking report that was submitted to the planning department of planning board. And so that's part of what's gonna be reviewed on the 28th. And as good as Carlos is, we're actually gonna have our traffic engineers gonna be there, gonna be making that report.
And the site.
And the site engineer will be talking about, typical site plan issues and, sewer and water connections and how that's all gonna work. So we feel very good about the site plan application that was put in. And John First, who's representing the board, will be there as the attorney, making the presentation with the site engineer and the traffic engineer.
Malco has spent about $1 million in cash so far to pay all consultants and everybody to date. Will be another $2 million in cash to bring us to June. The reason I'm saying that is not to sound obnoxious, just to say that we're purely vested in this project. I mean, this is hard cash, so, we are in a position to continue. And as you see, we are pushing towards June.
Yeah.
In our mind, with ease, it's just up to the state.
Yeah, it's up, there's certain things obviously outside of our control, but part of that is also driven by if we can show the state that we're ready, that will help push them to a closing date. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I just want to double check my understanding, just on, because I'm onboarding into this process. But so you're basically saying like the state, the closing is with the state, the financing
Yeah.
agency to officially be like, yep, you're approved. Here's the project budget. You can start like their portion of the funding or whatever else we're planning.
So the process is, the state is the primary funding source.
Right.
Okay, they're providing tax credit and allocation of tax credits, they're providing major subsidy, and credits. In order for them to do that, they need to see that the project is ready to go. They need to know that we have building permits, they're gonna need to know we have a pilot in place. They're gonna need to know, we're telling them we have $5 million in brownfield money, they need something from
Right.
brownfields people, so they need to know all those things. And the process is it goes, we submit the package to the state,
Yeah.
they go through an internal review, then they go to what's called their credit committee
Mhm.
and reviews the finances.
Mhm.
Credit committee signs off on it, then there are a couple of other steps they have to go and they have to notify that bonds are gonna be issued and all the rest of it. So there's about a three stage process that the state will get into it sometime after February,
Mhm.
and working towards that closing.
That's that inducement resolution. Okay.
Maybe lender, you have Chase.
Yeah, and we got Chase is providing a letter of credit. They've already given us the letter indicating that they'll provide that. Hudson Housing is probably gonna be the final tax credit purchaser. Okay, and we have to show that financing to the state. So all those things have to come together. But we're confident that we can do our part, depending on, making sure that there aren't any hangups with HUD or.
And that would be final approval, John, right? At some point, they may kind of give us a green light saying this is going.
Yeah, the states, the answer is yes. The state will give us a green light and basically say, probably maybe the end of January, beginning of February, say, okay, you guys are set. That's great, but we're not really set. We're not set until they issue a letter saying that we are gonna give you an allocation, and they go out and issue the bonds. And that comes, right before the closing. So it's one of those things, you don't know you're closing until you close.
Right.
They can give us the thumbs up, they can give us green light, keep going, but anything can happen.
Anything we need to say, they can happen, just some timing.
Yeah.
The state will close eventually,
Yeah.
it's just, as they do every other deal.
Yeah, and I say, we've never had a project that we've gotten to this stage that we haven't been able to close. Okay, so it's not, I'm very confident we're gonna get there. But, I'm always a little reticent, because there's so much outstanding. Okay,
That's it.
I have a quick question, which is a little bit of a step back question. It may be annoying. I maybe should have asked it a few months ago, but can you review a little bit what were the factors that went into closing down State Street?
Hmm.
Because, and I'll say the reason is because I thought it was a great piece of the development. And as I've thought back on and looked at the images and especially at the last planning board meeting, I was imagining living in this space. And the concept of having it be much more of an open courtyard where kids can be running back and forth to the buildings. It's got that much better feel than a road going through the middle of it. And I thought I heard pretty positive feedback from most people who saw it. And so I know parking is an issue, and I know trying to get as many parking spots as possible is vital. But I was wondering if there are other factors aside from parking that went into it.
yeah, it's a good question, Nick, and it was. We definitely heard some positive responses, particularly when we had the renderings and show what it looked like. I mean, it looks great. Honestly, we heard some feedback. Some of it was public, some of it was not at the public meetings. That sort of pushed back on that. And I'm trying to think. I don't know that there was a particular, lights on, lights off issue, but I thought that there were some discussions at one of the planning board meetings, because we discussed it with the planning board, several meetings, I think. And I think that our consultants just felt that there were gonna be too many traffic problems, one for sure. And I think that they thought it was a path of least resistance, that they would need another approval from the city besides just a site plan. You have to close down the street. There's certain technical things you have to do in order to do that. And then there was a question of traffic flow,
Right.
as to, how we would reroute that. And there were some people that liked, we had a flow presented for them. Some people liked it, some people didn't.
If I may, there was two others. Yes, parking was the bottom line. But the problem you had was building A. They wanted to take the traffic flow behind building A. Building A would have to be moved to the right with the existing HUD buildings there that we can't touch at the moment. So it just didn't work. Because the way they were gonna, on Columbia Street, they needed to move building A forward a little bit, so they can make it through street here
Oh,
behind it. And then you have the existing structures we can't touch at
So
this
we wouldn't have
time.
been able to build.
So from the parking consultant, I think we picked up 45 spots or something like that, which was critical. And then the problem was here is creating a pass-through street here. So that was the issue. I mean, at the end of the day, this is gonna be an issue no matter what, because we're gonna be building very close to this structure and we'll
Yeah.
have to deal with it at the time. But that was a problem. We would have to move it forward like this.
Whoop.
Who put this together? You never did that.
So I think that answers my follow-up question, which is, could we move forward with the first phase and then revisit that as everything gets realistic? And if that's the case, we can because of the placement of building A1.
Well, maybe.
There won't be enough room.
Maybe during the life of the construction, then maybe we can vacate that building. I mean, we're gonna be building very closely to that structure, and if we could give some space, it would be helpful, but you never
Right,
know.
but I think he's saying we're not gonna be able to move the building forward, so we're not gonna have enough room to make the street behind it.
Yeah, and somehow this building can be vacated, then you can move it during, you have 24 months of construction.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
I see what you're
that's what you're saying. during
Yeah,
construction.
yeah.
Sure, you can go to an immense site.
Yeah,
If we can move
that's a
that.
related issue that we would never get HUD's approval take that building down between now and, you know, they gotta give us some other approvals. But if we had more time while we're doing construction, we could revisit that with HUD. I don't know what they'll say, but
I believe, Jeff, you said that the issue with that structure is with HUD under their program, that you have to give qualified existing housing
That's
to those tenants, and there is no housing available.
That's correct.
Once we build the building, I mean, we got a chicken and egg here.
Right,
Once the building's built. of course we can look,
there's your
but then
housing, yeah.
We already got the building in place, so the answer is yes, it could be revisited.
or you could, there may be another flow, there may be another traffic flow, instead of coming that street, maybe.
I don't know, John, now you're good.
I mean, the fact is that between this development and Front Street, the next street west, there is nothing.
Right.
Right? There is no buildings, no businesses, no houses, no parks, no anything. It's an empty street. And so you can do everything you need to do. You can go down Columbia Street and get to the same place at the end.
Oh, I see.
So it's not like it's a
Yeah.
vital thoroughfare that like, oh, I can't get to my house, or somebody can't get to the grocery store, or somebody can't get anywhere. There's nothing. It's just an empty street. But I think that I would just love to say for the record that I think that the quality of life for the residents long-term of this building, which is a lot of residents, hopefully for a long time, would be greatly improved by that original concept. And it really feels more like something that's being designed with the residents in mind. That courtyard and the concept of shutting down State Street. So I realize there's not much we can do about it right now, but I would love to throw it out there. And I'm happy to hear that you think that there may be options moving forward to preserve that.
These are always we call them Monsignor for a reason. It's just that it has to be parking.
Yep.
Somehow we gotta put that. parking somewhere.
My guess is that after we build these first buildings, we're gonna see the same thing that we see now. Is there's gonna be a lot of open parking spots. And I know that the planning board's always concerned with it and they want to prepare for it, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But my guess is there's gonna be empty spots
Yeah.
once these buildings are
And we'll
built.
do a study and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, then you can do a study and then maybe
Right.
we can reconfigure some things.
right. Exactly.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, good question.
Anyone else?
Okay, any other questions for us? Otherwise, we'll see at least some of you at the board meeting, planning board meeting next week.
Yep.
And, we're gonna keep pressing, and try to meet this schedule. That's what our goal was.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Connor.
Thanks, Connor.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no
everyone.
problem. Thanks all.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely coming to the stretch. though.
Congratulations, Connor.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Enjoy the garage.
When you smiling when he was talking about that.
Thank you, guys.
Time is the planning board meeting starting?
6:30.
And then we're probably,
I have one more. With the just,
Thank you.
the music.
Thank
we
you.
don't make it this time.
Talk to you guys tomorrow, or at 2 p.m.
Okay.
Thank you.
Carla.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations, Carlos. We will move right on to resident public comment. Do we have any residents that would like to make a comment?
Just want to ask one thing. Is it possible we can get a copy of that?
To look at it?
Good?
Yeah, I'll give you one.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. Well, yeah.
Also, you got, it may change, then that's not
Oh,
the exact plan.
This not, you can't take it home, but you can look at it.
Oh.
Okay.
Possible, not resident, possible to see that timeline that they gave, because he said there were two red spots and.
Those are at the very end, and that is in June. Well, we were talking about that closing date,
Right.
when everything closes, and, you know, they've got the final approvals from New York State. There's actually only one thing in red. He said two.
The other one was just the caveat that,
Right.
it's like, that's the date that's in the closing date. They're saying maybe June.
It's a date and a caveat.
The other one is like, it says, this is it, we're doing our best. Yeah. A lot of detail.
And just to be clear, Ms. Annette, like, it's not our plan that the project changes, but we may have to, when we go for site approval, there may need to be an amendment or modification, so it wouldn't be in the best interest to give out a plan and then.
That makes sense.
Right.
Any other resident comment?
I'd like to address the board that doesn't have anything to do with the development.
Okay,
If there's not time, I'll.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, if we have no resident public comment, we will move right on to new business. We have no new business at this time. Next will be resolutions. We have resolution number 556, which is the adoption of payment standards of 110% of FMR for 2026. Now,
Read that to the record.
yes,
Resolution number 556, whereas the housing authorities increasingly struggling to place qualified Section 8 applicants and rental housing in the city of Hudson due to landlords raising the rates of rent on available rental properties citywide. And whereas the Hudson Housing Authority recognizes the average rents in the city of Hudson significantly exceed those in Columbia County, making it difficult to secure new housing assistance payment contracts because of the housing authority's lower payment standard. And whereas the Hudson Housing Authority intends to implement the current payment standard of 110% of 2026 fair market rents as reflected in the attached payment standard schedule. And whereas the U.S. Department of HUD and Urban Development allows public housing authorities, PHAs, to adjust their payment standard at their discretion to reflect changes in local rental markets not to exceed 110% of the fair market rent. And now therefore it be resolved that the Board of Commissioners hereby adopts a payment standard of 110% of fair market rent for Section 8 program 2026.
thank you for that.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, what was the, what were we paying before on the percentage?
It was 100.
110, so we're just
We do it
continuing.
every year.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
1 year since I've been here, HUD allowed us to do 120%,
Well,
but we're back at 110%.
and then just for everybody's knowledge, who sets the fair market rent?
HUD does.
HUD does,
Yeah.
the national standard,
Yeah.
based on
You can
like,
actually look it up online,
Mhm.
and you can pick any state, any city, any county, and they will, show what the fair market rents are.
yeah. I'll make that motion. And I'll-
Seconded. Mary got it.
Mary got it.
Properly moved in second, I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Cousin.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Zakos.
Aye.
Commissioner Black,
Aye.
Commissioner Decker.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next will be executive session, and at this time, we have no executive sessions, and now we're on to public comment.
Good evening, my name is Kai Hayden. I'm currently the Assistant Asset Manager here at Bliss. There's been a lot of things that have occurred, but there's some grievances. They take a long time to be answered. But I just wrote all my thoughts here on this paper because I want to be able to just keep it together. 8 years ago, I walked through the doors of Hudson Housing Authority with pride and excitement. I was honored to be the first person of color to work in administration and among the first family that was leased up in Department 814. I felt like history in the making, a moment where my personal and professional journey aligned with purpose. I believe that through hard work, compassion, and dedication, I could help elevate and bring something new and meaningful to a building I once called home and the people we serve. Over the years, although my official title was clerk typist and now assistant asset manager, I wear many hats. I'm a counselor, an advocate, resource specialist, secretary, helper, and natural giver of self. Mind you, they're all required responsibilities that's not listed in your job description. I've always tried to serve our citizens here with the same respect, patience, and care that I want for myself or my loved ones. However, as time went on, I began to experience a shift that saddened me deeply. The respect and support I once felt as an employee began to fade. My grievances went unanswered or delayed, leaving me feeling unheard or undervalued. The challenge to being a part of the union, something I feel is my right, has fallen on deaf ears and not answered. The delay in the response has not only been unfair, but at times has felt discriminatory. When I found the courage to disclose that I have a disability, I did so with hope, believing it will foster an understanding and allow my superiors to equip me with the right tools to continue serving effectively. Instead, the vulnerability was met with silence, minimalization, and at times suggestions that seemed to set me up for failure rather than success. In addition, I have faced constant changes in policies, procedures, and office decisions that are made without my input or inclusion. As someone who has dedicated years to this agency, this inclusion has been disheartening. I often feel as though I am simply expected to adjust, follow, and comply without question to make others comfortable, even at my expense of my own voice. It has left me feeling more like a robot than a respected professional. Added to the strain has been the growing disrespect and hostility from certain tenants. I've faced verbal aggressions and situations that at times, I don't want to say made me fear, but I now carry pepper spray. Not that I'm scared, but because I just never know. No employee should ever have to operate under that level of stress or uncertainty, especially when their role is centered on serving and supporting others. I'm tired of fighting and feeling like my requests become further challenges. So as a result, I have prayed long and hard about the decision because I love the mission of what we do and the people that we serve. But the environment has grown increasingly toxic and unsafe, and the lack of communication, inclusion, and genuine support has taken a toll on both my mental and now physical health. I can no longer continue in a space that challenges my well-being and undermines my contribution. Therefore, with a heavy heart, I am announcing my resignation from Hudson Housing Authority effective December 31st, 2025. I leave not in anger, but in hope. Hope that this decision sparks reflection and encourages real internal change. I urge leadership to not rush to fill a seat, but to look deeply at the heart of the person who occupies it, because this role is more than a title. It's the first line of contact, the bridge between administration and the community. I truly wish HHA continued success. Though I won't be here to witness the completion of the new development, a project I know is much needed and well-deserved for our tenants. I will be cheering from the sidelines, proud of the foundation I helped lay and the history I was blessed to be a part of. With sincerity and respect, I thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Kaya. And we will miss you. It'll be a major loss.
That's a lot to take in, Kaya. It's, obviously difficult to hear, about all these problems, and obviously some of them can't talk about details, but we as a board have talked about, and so, I personally would just like to apologize for my part to that, things weren't handled as quickly as you wanted them to be. And it's very hard in these situations, monthly meetings, going through stuff, to do that at times, but I can see how frustrating that was to you. So I personally would like to apologize, and I do think this is gonna be a big loss, because I know what a big part of this organization you are and you have been, and the like you said, the heart that you put into your job and interacting with the public and to serving the people in this building. So it's hard to hear that you're resigning and you're leaving, and it's under these circumstances.
For sure. I don't really have much to add because I know this situation has been ongoing, and I'm in different meetings with our lawyers, so I'm just sad that this is what it came to, but I want to let you know it was never unanswered or unheard, and we are in constant meetings. Um. And this is just a bummer, for sure.
I guess one other thing that I would say, and this is just me, I totally respect your, your want to have a hard resignation and to do that and to set a date. But to whatever ability you're willing to hang on, I know that we are working on these things and there are ongoing, there's a process, ongoing. And so that would be my only thing, knowing how valuable you are, is to urge you that if there is a possibility to hang on, to do that, as we do continue to work on these, and to say that I understand that the speed is frustrating. And again, I apologize for that, but we are working on it because we value you.
And I apologize for some of the residents, how they did treat you as they came into the office. Cause I was there on a couple of occasions. And I do say I'm sorry, like, that they did that to you.
As I said, it's not only affecting my mental health, it's beginning to affect my physical health. September 15th, I got up 6 o'clock, like I was ready to go to work. And I ended up in St. Peter's Hospital for a week with coronary issues. I want to help, but like, helping you is gonna hurt me, and it's something that I can't do.
Well, thank you for being brave enough to come here and say that, and like I said, we will definitely miss you for sure. At this time, we'll move on to commissioners' time. If anybody has anything to say.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it, whoever wants to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.